Well, today we are getting ready for the preparation because actually Christmas begins tomorrow with Vespers. Vespers is the Latin for evening prayer. And so actually, as we know, when you have a big feast or a solemnity in the church, there's a celebration of the vigil beforehand. Now, what's interesting is there is a vigil on Christmas Eve, but then there's also a midnight mass. We priests can celebrate 3 masses, and you're able to attend. Mass at night, which is here going to be at the shrine at midnight traditionally, and we will be doing this. None of this here of doing our midnight mass at 7 p.m. Our midnight mass will be at midnight. Then you are able to attend a mass at dawn if you can find one. Now, if you're in the area, please feel free to join me. I will be doing on Christmas Day 6:30 a.m. Mass at our Marian Helper Center inside our little chapel. And we have plenty of seats. Not too many people come to see or to celebrate Christmas Mass with me on 6:30. I think last year we had 5. But anyway, Christmas Mass can be celebrated during the dawn, and that's dawn. And then there is the Mass celebrated during the day. So if you're here at the shrine for our 2 o'clock Mass, for example, we'll still be having the live stream Mass will be going on at that same time. Now, why is this, and what is it that we are getting prepared to celebrate? Well, you've heard it, and you've celebrated it, and you know it, and that is the Incarnation. But what a lot of times we don't realize is why did God become incarnate? And did he have to? Well, St. Thomas Aquinas tells us that it is fitting that this happened, because what is this a reaction to? This is God doing what he promised. Now, it all ties to mercy, because what is mercy? Mercy is the highest form of love. Love is the highest virtue. Mercy is the highest form of that. Mercy is a particular mode of love that when love encounters suffering, it takes action to do something about it. So like the Good Samaritan was merciful. If you see somebody in need. So mercy is a particular mode of love that when love encounters suffering, it takes action to do something about it. Now, when it's divine mercy, now we have mercy in relation to God. So divine mercy is a particular mode of love, and God is love himself, that when God sees suffering, he takes action to do something about it. Now, this happened from day one. In the garden, after the fall of Adam and Eve, there was instant suffering because Adam and Eve lost the preternatural gifts by choosing willfully to disobey God. Now, what happened? God instantly brought mercy. We think, oh, he was this ogre that kicked Adam and Eve out of the garden. But actually, his immediate response, mercy. So the love that God had, that when he saw suffering, he took action to do something about it. What was the suffering? The sin, and now man removing himself from the garden, severing his relationship with God, which was so severe that it took, and not just like venial sin, where we harm something. It's like mortal sin, where we sever that relationship. So man had now been completely broken away from God. Now here's the thing. God made a promise of the gift of a mother and the promise of a Savior immediately after the fall, Genesis 3:15. So after the fall, God did mercy, divine mercy. And that was, again, the gift of a mother and the promise of a Savior. And so God delivered on both. Now, it took him a while, but he had to prepare us. Mary and Jesus didn't come until much later, but that was because he had to be preparing us, spoon-feeding us. A child has to be taught the no's before, don't do this, do not do that, before the child can then be taught how to live a life of virtue. And so we, like children, were treated that way by God, but now we're adults. And so God has brought us the gift of a mother in Mary and the promise of a Savior. Now, that Savior was coming to us in the flesh. And why, though? Okay, first of all, the rupture that was created between God and man was so big, so major, that only God could fix it. It was beyond the repair of man. When you total your car, unfortunately, unless you're a skilled body mechanic that has all the abilities and few do when a car is totaled, even the greatest mechanics can't fix it. It's totaled. It's completely destroyed. And that's what Adam and Eve and mankind did to their relationship with God. So it was such a massive severing of that relationship that only God could fix it. The problem was God didn't do it. Man did it. Man was the one responsible, his choice. So man has to be the one by justice to be the one to fix it. So we got a problem here. If by justice man has to be the one to fix it because man is the one who broke it, but yet he's not capable of fixing it because it's so far beyond his repair that only God can fix it, what do? Does God fix it or does man fix it? Hence the God-man. Hence the Incarnation. Hence the coming of God, the second person of the Trinity, who's the only one who could repair it, but came in the flesh to be human in his nature so that in his humanity he could make that offering up to God for the rupture he created. It's the most inconceivable and yet most beautiful concept in human history. The very fact that God would come to a solution through his mercy to answer and to fix the problem. And God can do that. This is what he is always done for us. And this is what we are celebrating. So we prepare in this Christmas season, which remember, Christmas doesn't end on Christmas Day. People think, oh, it started the day after Thanksgiving. You've heard me harp on this many, many times. No, Christmas doesn't begin till Vespers on Christmas Eve. Technically, Christmas Day. That's the first day of Christmas, the 25th. Then you have the 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, January 1st, the 8th day. Those 8 days in the Jewish tradition called an octave, that is Christmas proper. This is the true Christmas when we say Christmas Day. All days of those 8 are celebrated as one day. That is known as Christmas. And then if we go to the Epiphany, those 12 days, you remember your 12 days of Christmas, called Yuletide, like Yuletide carols, is called Christmastide. And those are the celebration of a very important aspect of Christmas to the Epiphany. And then if we go all the way to the baptism, we have the Christmas season. I'll be talking to you more about that as we progress here in the next few weeks. And we'll talk about the Epiphany and why do we have the wedding at Cana, the visit of the Magi, and the baptism of Jesus. Why are those the 3 things? We'll talk about that more. But until then, don't worry. Just recognize what God has done for us. And that is complete divine mercy. Do you know, the mystics tell us when the most souls are released from purgatory? When most souls are released from purgatory, according to all the mystics, we would think it would be All Souls Day, maybe, in November, All Saints Day, All Souls Day, November 1st and 2nd. Some people would think it'd be Easter, really especially Divine Mercy Sunday. but actually the most souls are released from purgatory by far on Christmas. And that is why, because Christ coming in the flesh has now bridged that gap. He's repaired that damage. That big infinite canyon that was created by our mess, Christ now has bridged that gap. And by coming in the flesh, he gives his very self to us as that union between God and man. And that union between God and man only is consummated when we receive him into us, and that is the Eucharist. That's why make sure that you get to Christmas, Mass. Don't think, oh, just because it's not on a Sunday that I don't have to go. I think most of you know that. So get to Mass either on Christmas at midnight Mass or Christmas during the dawn or Christmas during the day. Surprisingly, the vigil is not a Christmas Mass. It does fulfill your Christmas obligation. Now, what do I mean by Christmas vigil? Usually those are the Masses you'll find on Christmas Eve around 5, 6 o'clock, or 7 o'clock at your local parish. That is the vigil Mass. It fulfills your obligation. But ironically, it's not a Christmas Mass. That sounds crazy. But the Christmas Masses are at midnight, at dawn on Christmas morning, and during the day on Christmas Day. So we will be here for all of you. I'll announce at the end of this Mass our schedule, starting with midnight Mass on Christmas Eve. And again, if you want to join me at the Marian Helper Center at 6:30 a.m. on Christmas morning, feel free. As I said, there'll probably only be a half a dozen of us. But if you're around the area, God bless you. And then here during the day on Christmas, especially the 9 a.m. Mass and the 2 p.m. Mass as normal. But we'll announce this again at the end of Mass. So really recognize why we're here and what we are doing and why the meaning of the season is always will be, has been, or I should say has been, is now, and always will be so important. God bless you.